Hello, and good afternoon again. And here is my next LinkedIn Live is Michael Streit. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi, Václav. Great. It's a nice day in Nuremberg. Nice to be back in Germany. And
Very
super
good.
stoked to be here with you.
Michael and myself are both former Novartis colleagues, so there is the connection. And me as a career consultant in Basel and Michael as an AI strategist, this is a very good fit together. And this was the reason why I decided to invite Michael to the show. And because as you all know, we are being bombed constantly with Claude this, Claude that, connect this, connect that, do this. If not, then you are going to die and stuff like that. It's really a hype. And we will try to deconstruct the hype maybe a little bit and give some actionable tips for people who are struggling at the moment, are maybe a little bit overwhelmed by the speed of the development. So Michael, the stage is yours. Could you please introduce yourself, who you are and what are you doing?
Yeah, with pleasure. And once again, super stoked to be here. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Michael. I'm an AI strategist and keynote speaker. So what I basically try to do is to help leaders and teams gain competitive advantage through AI by optimizing their processes, automating their processes, faster decision making. And I do this by holding keynotes, trainings, AI implementation plans, but also one-on-one AI executive coaching. I was traveling around the world a lot. I'm driven by three core values, which are realistic positivity, humor, and kindness. And now being here with you, super fun. And how did you eager to hear your questions?
Yeah. How did you get there, Michal? Because we both have a career in a renowned pharmaceutical company. Can you maybe walk us through your journey and how did you end up in pharma?
Yeah, with pleasure. So basically it all started, I was studying international management in my early 20s in West Germany. Back then, we didn't have any major online marketing topics. So, and when I say that, our marketing courses at university, they had nothing at all when it comes to online marketing. And back then, one of my best friends and student colleagues, he went to Silicon Valley for an internship. And when he came back, he said, "Yo, Michael, in the US, everything is about online marketing, Google Ads, SEO, and social media marketing." So we decided then in our early 20s to found an online marketing agency, which was called Fabulous Ideas, where we helped smaller companies to build like their online presence and web shops and Facebook campaigns. And it was already a crazy time for me because, I was going to university from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And then from 3 p.m. till midnight or in early morning, we were working on our projects for our customers. And this was like a really impactful time where I first understood the beauty of the digital world, but also the beauty of, self-taught topics, because we had no idea what we were actually doing. Sometimes we were sitting in front of a customer and they asked us if we could build an online shop for them. And we just said yes. And then when we got home, the first thing that we did was Googling how to build an online shop. So it taught me quite early that, even if you don't know the answers all at the beginning, like there's always a way to figure it out. Back then, we also decided hey, it would be nice to do a master in digital transformation. But unfortunately, all of the public universities, they had no curriculum for online marketing or digital transformation. So we decided, okay, we need to go to a private university, which costs a lot of money. And we calculated it and we came to the point where we said, okay, we won't be able to finance or to fund this private university by the income of our startup. So we need to find companies that actually fund our master degree because it costs like 30,000 or something, plus, of course, your living costs. And this is what happened. I was able to go to a e-commerce company, which is called billiger.de. It's like one of the most famous price comparison websites in Germany. And started there as a business development manager, and in parallel doing my master degree in Berlin in digital transformation. And after a year, I was then able to found this in-house startup, which was a technology platform for coupon marketing for online shops. I think by then I was like 24 years and had to lead a team of 6 or 7 people. And I did that for 2 years. So much being said, it was like the worst leadership experience ever, because I probably did everything wrong that you could have done wrong. Maybe we can.
Normally 24, because I remember my old leadership lesson. It wasn't that much different, because we need to learn it the hard way sometimes. But how did you come to pharma then?
So that's the thing. And sorry for jumping around the circle a little bit. I actually was planning, after doing that for 2 years and it didn't work out, that I will move like straight to Berlin and work for an online shop as head of performance marketing. But a friend of mine who was working for Novartis, he told me that Novartis in Nuremberg, Germany, that they planned to build this digital unit, and they are looking for people from the digital industry from outside. And then I had the conversation back then with Christian Bühnemann, who was the greatest leader ever I had. And we had a conversation, and then I moved to Nuremberg and started as a digital innovation manager for Novartis, and kind of started all over again.
Just a short remark for those people who are listening. You can give us questions. I will display it on the screen and Michael can answer those, because I know that many people are jogging or rowing in a fitness studio and they are listening to this only as a podcast, so they don't see the pictures. That's why I'm going to read the question as well. So yeah, Novartis might be a huge difference to the startup scene. So what did you do there exactly?
So that was the beauty. I was able to do quite a lot, and also I still remember one sentence of Christian, where he said, "Michael, we hired you in order to so you can tell us what we should do." And there were several areas. So I was responsible for 3 therapeutic areas, for cardiovascular, ophthalmology, and respiratory, and then helped the business teams with digital strategies, customer communication, but also disease awareness campaigns for patients. I was consulting the big Entresto launch, like a heart failure drug, which was introduced to Germany. Also, a lot of digital health startup collaborations, did a lot of hackathons, but mainly because of my background in e-commerce and online marketing, I was just in love with digital analytics. So I tried, and this was like a green field, especially when it came to marketing operations and patient awareness campaigns. Like measurement of what's actually working was not a thing back then. So I saw this huge opportunity in diving deeper into business intelligence, data analytics, which then also gave me the opportunity to build up a team in that area.
Most people would basically envy you, because Novartis is a highly, admired company, fantastic career in such a company. Why did you leave?
Well, that's a bit, that's a fast forward question. I mean, so and this was, I think, in 2018, and I need to build that bridge, I guess. So in 2018, as I said, I fell in love with data. I was listening to to many presentations of Andrew Ng, which was the co-founder of Coursera. And in 2018, I was already looking at machine learning and AI. So what is the development there? And I was able to actually pitch in front of the management team that we need a team, a separated team for data analytics and AI, which I then get the positive feedback. So in 2019, I then was able to found the data analytics unit within Novartis Germany. And through the course of 4 to 5 years, we built that team up to 16 people. We were responsible for mostly commercial operations like marketing and sales analytics, business intelligence, but we also had like projects for finance, market access, clinical trials. Back then, it was mostly about business intelligence, big data management, but also the first machine learning projects, data science projects, automation pieces. And so I did that for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in the year, let's say 2022. And in 2022, Novartis decided on a global scale to do a restructuring, which I think led to the outcome of reducing headcount by 8,000 globally, more or less, I think. The thing with that was that because of German law and the working council, that you cannot just, kick out hundreds of people. You need to have like a good package, like a
Social
agreement,
plan.
social plan, everything. And that, I think, took in Germany 1.5 years until it was like drafted and also being able to communicate it to the employees. So there was a point where I was actually, let's say, dealing with the emotional baggage of 16 people throughout such a long period of time. And I cared a lot about my people. I hope that people hear this actually can support that statement. So my number one goal was just to find a good solution for everyone that was within my team. At the same time, I was struggling, of course, with my own career and next move, right? Plus, I ended up in a toxic relationship. Plus, there was several deaths in my family environment, and friends who just got diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
so
tough combination.
There was just a tough combination, right? The restructuring from a company perspective, and then the private issues, which led to the point, and this was actually exactly 3 years ago in May 2023, when I woke up at night with a severe panic attack. And then I decided, okay, I'm like mentally, like totally blown away, and I cannot do like the next career step or something. So I need to have a break. And that, with some other topics, led to the result of leaving Novartis. Yeah.
And what happened to you after you left? So you did only travel, if I understand it correctly. You did some traveling.
I did some traveling. So that's right. I mean, the whole process of actually leaving Novartis took several months. I mean, my mental decision was already in May 2023, but then when I was able to leave the company was December 2023. So then I just thought, okay, I not only need to leave Novartis, but I need to leave Germany. And so I got rid of everything that was kind of like attached to me. And yeah, I was traveling the world and more of a discovery, exploration of who I want to be, how I deal with my anxiety disorder, what is important to me, and what do I want to do next. So basically 2024 for me was mainly about self-discovery, as simple as it sounds, but also because I received a good severance package from Novartis, which I wasn't depending on financially, because I was able to save some money before that supported me traveling a lot. So I actually took the entire severance package and invested in 6 startups in 2024. So after I was leaving Novartis, I was, I became a business angel for several startups. And then I just dived into all the AI tools that came on the market. And I was just traveling and testing all AI tools myself.
Thank you very much for this brutal honesty and openly speaking about your anxiety in those days. I think this is something very, very important. And I'm a big fan of sharing our vulnerabilities, because I was in the same situation. I underwent heavy depression 8 years ago, came out of it. And we are simply not talking enough about those topics. Everybody's like a super trooper, superstar. Everybody pretending being the happiest person on earth, and I'm really tired of this toxic positivity. And we will jump a little bit back and forth because this is not a pre-trained interview. This is just we spoke, okay, what are the topics, and I would like to interact with questions of the people. Marketa, thank you for your comment. Yeah, that was the reaction on AXA. You'd say that that AI is generating opportunities. However, it's both creating new opportunities, but also slowly at certain way replacing manpower. In my company, I could witness first trials how AI is used to evaluate data where I myself would need 2 days to do so. Yes, that's very, very true. And we will later definitely discuss this kind of behaviors and how do people react on it later when we continue our discussion. So you are now consulting companies how to basically incorporate AI into their teams. Huh?
Yeah.
What leadership behavior do you see in those times that AI comes in, a lot of insecurity around it? What do you witness in the companies?
So there are several things I would say. From a leadership perspective, I see both ends, from being super hyped about AI and kind of like have this over activism. And then the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum is like blocking AI initiatives like to the fullest. Both has its downsides. Also, like, of course, when you're blocking AI at all, it doesn't lead nowhere. On the same time, if you're overhyped with AI, it can lead to a lot of mismatched expectation. I see especially overhyped conversations with leaders of big corporate companies. Unfortunately, the enthusiasm for AI doesn't come from a true belief that it will help them, like with their productivity, but it's more driven by ego perspectives and corporate career perspectives. So they think they have to talk about AI and run initiatives because it's now the way to go, without actually believing in it, that it can help them, which is quite a big, let's say, risk for the AI initiatives themselves. Also,
I see it, if I may throw something into it, I see it as myself as a tiny entrepreneur. For me, is AI just a tool who is giving me more time to talk with human beings? Huh? So instead of spending 2 hours of comparing and doing gap analysis manually of a person's CV against job description, this is now done in 10 seconds. And I can take the points one after the other, verify it, and talk through it with the client. And I think this is where it adds value. And this is probably the direction in this we should go. AI not as a threat, AI as something which is freeing our time to do something which is value adding. And yeah, how do you see this? So you are talking a lot about hybrid teams, humans together with AI.
So a big risk that we have, or no, let's say a big challenge, is that people are confused when it comes to productivity gains and AI adoption rates. Let's take a big pharma company and they want to roll out 1,000 Microsoft Copilot licenses. And they have 800 active users on a weekly basis. So you could like say our AI adoption rate is 80%. So a business unit head or a general manager could say, well, we should have like great productivity gains. The fallacy that's there is that people using it wrong. So you actually have a loss in productivity, which is the first thing you need to understand. High adoption rate doesn't mean you actually gain productivity. It could be that people just randomly discuss and ask Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT things, or even worse, try to start a discussion with them. So this is the basis where most of the companies, I think, started, especially in 2024, still 2025. And where we need to find the transition is to foundational structures where you see AI not only as an employee, but sooner or later AI as an operating system, where we move from the first steps from simple chatting with AI to becoming sufficient in prompting. Yet, even if you're very professional in drafting the best prompts in the world, you could still face a productivity loss. Because when you apply the best prompts to use cases that are not worth it, right? Then the next stage would be AI assistants, like setting up assistants for specific roles that you can use again and again. There's where we see the first productivity gains. The next step would be AI autopilots, like AI workflow automation, where it leads up. And the last piece is the hyped AI agents.
Could you say something about those very hyped AI agents? Because everybody's talking agentic AI back and forth. So how, if let's assume I'm a small company with 20 people, 5 of them are in the office, or 5 of them writing proposals, talking to clients. So what can agentic AI do there?
The first thing people need to understand is, when are we talking about an AI agent? Too many times I see teams declaring or defining a certain solution as an agent, where it's just an AI assistant or a more sophisticated workflow. So the definition of AI agents is basically having autonomous solution that consists of 5 characteristics. The first thing is they can reason and understand the input that you give to them. The second piece is they're able to plan. So when you draft a goal, they are able to plan the process in order to get to a solution. Exactly. They have a memory. So they understand the context of your company, of you individually, and know what you did before. They have access to the right tools in order to execute, and they are able to iterate and reflect on their outcomes. So a lot of times people are actually not using AI agents. They're using an assistant who is connected to certain tools, or they set up a workflow in N8N or make.com or whatever.
Now,
so
this is
the first important thing.
The classic one: look at my inbox and Gmail and tell me what are my priorities and how do I do this. And that's not the agent; that's the assistant.
Exactly, and the important lesson is that when you're at the beginning of your AI journey, the worst thing that you can do is to start with an agent. When you're missing the evolutionary steps, the learnings that come along with setting up first an assistant, then going to an autopilot like an AI workflow. Also there, you don't start with a 40 process step workflow. No, you go into your smallest process, like a 3-step process that you have, and you automate that one first. You gain the experience, the feedback from the market, the feedback from customers, whatever, and then you extend your use cases or processes. So I would say a big, everyone who's listening, don't get too much pressure by the hype or the use cases you see on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Instagram. Always start with something simple, and once you figure that out, AI assistant, autopilot, then you move on to starting with agents.
I know that many of my clients, specifically older folks, are very, very scared what's going on with AI. And what kind of advice would you give those people? So how should people approach AI learning today? What would you, because this is something which we discuss pretty often, and I tell them, yeah, have a look on your courses, which you can find, your free courses, check out what are free courses on Claude, and adapt it to your area. Look at it that you minimum have a sort of idea, but I'm a superficial surfer of AI, you are the expert. So what would you advise our clients who are feeling insecure about AI? How should they approach their further education here?
So first of all, I'm always advising that people should think in scenarios. So think about your current role that you have or your career ambitions, and kind of project the next 12 to 24 months. And you can even ask an AI to reflect on that topic with you as well. But basically, sit down, think about your current role in 12 months, in 24 months, and draft 3 scenarios how this role might change, also based on your company objectives or your team objectives and your personal career ideas. And then for that, when you think, okay, scenario A, my role might be more towards this one, or those roles might occur, what are the skills I need for those one? And then you do proper research that's like super specific towards those scenarios. So don't just take any online course that's flying into your inbox. Second thing is actually be more intentional and cautious about the scope and the length of an online course. I know that pharma people love long and big certificates, which in the past was quite good, right? Like especially.
Have a look behind me.
Yeah, I love them all. Well deserved. No, but it's the thing, right? You have budget for your people, for your talents, so they can educate themselves, and then you have preferred suppliers, vendors, maybe MIT courses. But the risk of doing those is if they are too long. Like if you get a 1-year AI strategy online course degree, you now run into the risk of learning something that's actually obsolete after 6 months of starting it.
Exactly. I had a client, she was telling me exactly this. If I stop for 6 months, I can start scratch with my thesis.
Exactly. So the clear advice is look for nano degrees, like something that's lasts for 3 months maximum, and look for check out the date when this online course or this curriculum was actually created. Even if there's a curriculum of 2024, this might be a little bit obsolete, not when it comes to the AI foundations, of course, but to the best practices right now. So look for stuff. Now we're in 2026, already May. You can check out online courses that were created in 2025, like latest. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, which competencies will company look for leadership role in the future? What AI competencies will it be? Let's assume I'm applying in a middle management role at Novartis in Nuremberg. What do I need to take with me? Is it already required already now? Is it in the job descriptions? And what would you suggest? What kind of AI skills do I need to be successful as a manager?
I think there are certain core competencies that you should be able to show. You should definitely be able to tell stories, which is nothing specific to AI, probably, which is something that was always very helpful. But because we're going to see a constant transformation from now on, right? The world will never be that slow as it is right now from now on. So the pace will just increase and increase, and the circles of transformations will increase and increase. So you should be able to take everybody along with you as a leader. And in order to do so, you should be just a monster when it comes to storytelling and communication. The second piece is you need to think in architectures. Yeah. Become the architect, not the mason. You should be able to understand how systems operate with each other, especially when we're going to a future where we have AI as an operating system. You need to understand, like, what are the processes? What are the roles that I have? What are the interdependencies between certain elements? So more of an architectural thinking helps a lot. And yet I'm totally convinced that you need to show that you actually used AI yourself. I don't think it's enough to show the certificate anymore to say I did this 2 online courses, so I potentially know how to do it. It's like you don't read about how to do push-ups, right? You do them.
You need to start doing them.
Yeah. And I don't think that leaders are able to hide in the future anymore. I think they have to show and tell how they used AI, what were the challenges, what they learned themselves in setting up their first agent or their first autopilot, but also how they make sure, and maybe this is the fourth element, how did I make sure that they were working on the right use cases? When I'm doing AI implementation plans with customers, 80% of the time and the efforts go into foundational knowledge, problem understanding, use case definition, use case evaluation, and prototype like drafting. And the last 20% might be technical, but it's nowadays the technology is not the problem anymore, but to decide what are the use cases with the right impact we should start with and work on and iterate.
Yeah, I love to hear this communication monster, because if I understand it right, at the end, AI will drive us to use our human capabilities more and more for those who would like to be successful. Because, yeah, I'm particularly not afraid as a career consultant that AI is going to replace me, because I think empathy, motivation, yes, you can play through a job interview on with AI, no issues. There are tools for everything already now, but the human warmth, the human contact, at the end, you don't want to talk about your anxiety with AI, you know. And that's communication will be much more important in the future. And I'm seeing this pretty relaxed from my own role, that bald-headed old guy will be still important, because he accumulated some experience through his life. So if I'm now 30 years old, I finished my PhD, and here I go, pharma industry. How should I future-proof my career? So what do I do? What should I tell the people, Michael?
So the first thing again would be, like, when it comes to core competencies, like be the architect, not the mason. We discussed it already. The second piece would be think more about skill security than role security. Like, don't get too attached with role titles, because they might change in a certain frequency and it's getting faster. But think more about what are the skills in certain scenarios, and then prepare accordingly. And one competency I would like highly recommend is, like, it's an aspect which is called die on your own sword, which means don't wait. Like, when you have the mindset of, okay, I'm waiting until a certain wave is over, like sooner or later restructuring will hit your team or your company. That's the case nowadays. So you don't wait for other people to tell you, hey, you now got to use this AI tool, or we're going to automate this part of your process. You need to be the one that's like constantly documenting and reflecting on your current processes, and be the one to decide which one you would like to give to an AI and automate. That's what I mean by die on your own sword, right? Be the one who is addressing and saying, this 10% of my tasks, I think we can automate this with an AI. And then you become professional in identifying the right use cases and get that productivity increase. So these are, like, from a mental perspective, my advices, I would say.
Thank you for the question, Marketa. Again, Michael, thank you for your honest words. When applying for jobs, how do I distinguish, or what are the main clues whether the company is using AI as the first tool to sort the job applications? In ideal case, the company is being transparent and stated on the career website. Yeah, maybe I can start with this. Basically, you don't know, and this is probably the problem. And Marketa, please don't believe all those magic myths we are running around. AI will sort you out, and ATS, I was doing several LinkedIn lives with recruiters, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 already. And everybody told me it's every time me clicking the box, and then the negative reply goes out, because probably there is maybe some check before, but your profile didn't fit 10-year experience required, you got 5, you are out. Basically, that's it. So that's still not AI there, and mostly it are really human being making those decisions. That's what I would say. And I can over to you, Michael.
Yeah, perfect. And don't get distracted too much, because if you even like what's the case? Even if you think, okay, they are using AI, then what are you going to do? You're trying to think in the area where you think about how can you hack their AI system, right? How can you add additional text or prompt re-engineer their AI, and then you end up in an area where you actually are not focusing on your core competencies anymore. So I wouldn't be too distracted of the question if they're using AI or not, because in case, what are you going to do? It's just focus on your. It's a black box. Yeah, focus on the things that you can influence. I would like more say focus a little bit more on personal branding, becoming more active on LinkedIn, and just show that you have practical experience in using AI.
Yeah, and exactly, be more human. The more AI, the more human you should be. Reach out to people, talk to people, be interested in other people. Don't push the envelope just in case you would need a job. No, be interested in other people is still the best thing to get a job, because at the end it's all people's business, and I don't think this will go away. I just remember spontaneous idea. My first post was about AI-driven interviewing on LinkedIn, and I wrote it 7 years ago. Would you believe it? 7 years ago, I wrote my first post about AI-driven interviewing. It was there already in those days. There was a Swedish company who developed like a head who was sitting at the table. You came into the room. The head was asking your question, measuring your facial micro expressions, and it was already sorting out those people who are lying. And those who passed the test with the head came then on to the human beings. That just came to my mind. My first LinkedIn post, 100 views, 1 like from my sister. That's probably well,
That's a nice
I have
one.
a practical question, Michael. What tools are you using? What is your favorite workflow? What tools are you using when you go to a company and consult them how to bring AI as a team member into their team?
I'm like super agnostic with tools. I'm actually not recommending many tools, because the companies that I talk to are like also bigger ones, like Capgemini, Lieferando, like Just Eat Takeaway, and those companies already have their AI systems in place. So I just do the research of what's the tech stack currently available. The tools that I'm using, so I'm switching in between Langdoc, which is a German Berlin-based company, an AI platform, and Claude Cowork. So right now I'm running in parallel, because I'm using both platforms. I haven't decided on which one to use finally, but this is just from AI as an operating system, and then I just have additional tools. For LinkedIn content, I'm using Scribe. For becoming be more productive, I'm using Whisperflow to record all my thoughts. So it's quite diverse from a tool perspective and from a operating system perspective.
This is exactly where we met, because we met in the Scribe forum, and Scribe, written with a P, is an excellent writing, AI-driven writing tool. And that's there we know each other. And then I started to follow you and see what you are posting. Exactly. What biggest fears do you see which people have? Have you some particular client experience where you have to be more a motivator and psychologist and calm down the team?
So something that I see a lot, where people are just overwhelmed with the amount of information that's hitting the market. If it's new AI tools, new updates, model updates, or just the usual LinkedIn hype around what's possible now with OpenClaw or Claude Code and everything. It's quite a funny story. So 2 weeks ago, I was doing a keynote in Germany, and I had to prepare that keynote in March, because I was going to Himalaya in Nepal to hike there. So I was for 2 weeks completely offline. And then I landed in Germany 2 weeks ago. And the first thing that I did was checking all the newsletter, all the updates, because I thought 2 weeks being offline, it could be that the slides that I prepared in March could already be obsolete. So the stuff that I'm now about to tell other people could be obsolete. So this was my thinking, and it shows a little bit the way where we are right now. We have an exponential growth when it comes to information about AI, and that creates a lot of fear, so that people are overwhelmed with, I just don't know what to do anymore. I just don't know which tool to use first and everything. So 2 things that people shall decide, 2 questions to answer is, one question is, when and how you are going to receive updates. You as an individual, or also as a team lead for yourself or for your team, for a company, you should decide on the frequency on when to receive updates or do proper research. Once a day or once a week drives you crazy. Think about maybe once a month. Once every 3 months could also be perfect to say, what is the current tech stack? What are the current trends? This is question number 1. Define a span when you're looking for information. And then the question is, the second point, what are you going to do with that information? And this is the how, where you need to decide what's the context of this information with regards to my company. So those 2 questions already help people deciding how to better use AI and adopt it and not go crazy. But you have to be very intentional and conscious about it. Yeah.
This is exactly it. I tell the people all the time, the 3 dots which you see on LinkedIn is your biggest friend. Click on those 3 dots. If you are overwhelmed by Claude, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. Do it several times. It will disappear. And you will see that world is still keeping on turning. Nothing is going to happen. And you will wake up tomorrow and then you will be more quiet because you don't see this. And my tip, if you are really lost, grab a book from Marcus Aurelius or other Stoic philosopher and read those things, because I tell you, there have been more terrible things in this world in the past, and people survived, and mankind survived as well. For me, this is calming down, and you really hear things which has been written 2,500 years ago, and how they are highly relevant for us today in this mayhem and chaos of information. So,
and maybe
Michael, we have 42 minutes 40. So basically, and this is the, we said, okay, we will do a next session again on this, because I already expected that it will be like that, because the topic is so big and there are so many different angles and questions. So we could discuss, and this is a good sign, because I have the feeling I could now discuss for another 30 minutes with you. But let's drive it home with some optimistic outlook. And how do you see the ideal world when AI and humans are working together? Or how optimistic are you? Let's put it this way, when you look into the future.
So I'm per se, but I think it's based on the bias of my job. I'm quite optimistic, but it also comes back to one of my core values, right? Realistic positivity. So having this fundamental optimism is good. At the same time, you know, when the roof is on fire, like, you cannot talk about rainbows. So you need to have this proper aspect of what's the reality. The thing with the current development is, even if you missed the last 2 years of AI, because it's changes so fast, you could start an online course today, which was created 3 months ago, and you're kind of like up to date with the newest pieces. So this is kind of like, even if we are overwhelmed, you have still time to learn all the stuff, because it's changing so much. But I would definitely recommend and encourage everyone to pick, like, and even if it's 2 hours a week, to slice it in, either talk with your boss or on a personal private level, but squeeze it in, get informed about it, but then make it like 50-50, 1 hour of education, 1 hour of testing and learning it yourself. So And at the end, don't cry. It's just AI. It's the biggest shift for all of us. Indeed, at the same time, it doesn't, even what's technical possible, our society and companies doesn't change that fast.
Yeah.
So, and act out of a position of strength. Like when you're right now not affected by any restructuring or not a big of external market pressure, like when you're doing good right now, this is exactly the time where you need to double down on your AI skills, on your AI fluency, on your practical knowledge of really using it. And then it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And I think this is really a very nice and positive closing word. Michael, thank you very much for being my guest. Where can people reach you? And if somebody from the audience thought, Michael, here's the idea, cool guy, let's cooperate with him. How can people reach you?
Yeah, let's connect on LinkedIn. It's the best platform, I would say.
I highly recommend you follow Michael for good and sound and the really human views on what's going on the market. And thank you very much for being our listeners. Thank you, Michael, for being my guest. And I'm looking forward to the next session, which we could plan somewhere after the summer. Let's have a look for some dramatic updates there. What are the news? And I will now close the stream and ask you if you could stay for a moment in the studio. Okay, thank you very much for listening to us, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.